Well, you're here because you filled out a survey about a guy and he scored a C. In many important ways, this guy is falling short. Welcome to the Strong Brew, where you get answers to questions you're not supposed to ask. These are some things you may want to know about the man in your life. If you do really well in your career, will he become insecure? Will he try and use money to control you? Will he share housework or just make you do it all? In fights, when he gets angry, does he get aggressive? During intimacy, does he understand that no means no? Is he jealous, suspicious, or possessive? Will his attitude towards you change after having kids? Will he treat your parents with respect? What if you have conflicts with his parents? We tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. These are things nobody else will tell you, things that are important for your future. This is a safe space for truth. No judgment, no platitudes, no login, no payment either. Our questions are from real life, but our answers come from science. Now, I built this thing, me and my husband, and honestly, we built it and we live it. We are both Stanford grads, we both have worked at Google, and we've been happily together since 1998. Along the way, we've added a son, now 13, and 4 dogs. We are genuine folks. If you're a woman trying to understand any man in your life, here is how it works. Go to www.thestrongbrew.life. Click on the Understand a Guy button there. Answer 10 questions about him. Watch a video tailored to your guy. That's all there is to it. It is completely anonymous, no login, no payment, no games, no manipulation. This analysis is obtained by combining solid trait psychology with cutting edge AI ML. We represent each person's personality with what is known as a feature vector. This has 10 elements, so our data is effectively 10 dimensional data. In case you're wondering how we can infer so much from just 10 questions, well, 10 dimensional data is very complex. There is a lot you can learn from that level of detail.
Okay, I think that does it for the preamble. Now let's plunge in. Let's start with this guy in his career. Will he go far or just talk big?
He's more likely to talk big than actually go far in his career. He may charm people with his ideas and energy at first, but when real effort and steady work are needed, he tends to pull back or lose interest quickly. You might find him jumping from one plan to the next without seeing things through to the end.
Can he bounce back from failure?
When things go wrong at work, he's likely to retreat rather than fight back. Instead of picking himself up and trying again, he may quietly withdraw or ignore the problem, hoping it goes away on its own. You won't see dramatic outbursts or anger, but you also won't see much courage or resilience.
What do people at work think of him? Do they like him?
He's not the type to get into fights at work, but that doesn't mean he's loved or respected. Most of the time, people might find him a bit distant or uninterested, since he keeps to himself and doesn't go out of his way to help others or be friendly. Don't expect him to be a leader at work or the heart of any team.
If you do really well in your career, will he become insecure?
If you shine in your career, he won't get angry or start fights, but he also won't be your biggest cheerleader. He isn't likely to feel proud because he doesn't easily connect emotionally or show much support. If you're hoping for genuine encouragement or warmth, you may feel a bit alone in your achievements.
What if you start earning more than him?
He's unlikely to openly resent you or pick fights about money. Most likely, he'll just accept it quietly and go about his own way. However, don't expect him to cheer you on or feel proud of you either.
Next, let's talk about how he is with money. Does he overspend? Is he reckless with money?
He's not the type to carefully track every rupee or stick to a strict budget. At the same time, he's not out there wildly spending just for the thrill of it. He tends to be a bit careless and may forget responsibilities, so bills or important payments might slip his mind.
Does he show off and pretend to be richer than he is?
He usually lives in the moment and doesn't put on a show to look richer than he is. He isn't one to fake a fancy lifestyle just to impress others. If anything, he might be a bit careless about planning, not really thinking about what he can or can't afford.
Is he too generous, too stingy, or just right?
He isn't especially open handed or generous, and you may not find him doing small acts of kindness or going out of his way to help others. At the same time, he isn't tight fisted about money. He's more just indifferent, not really thinking much about sharing or saving. His way is more about doing what he feels like in the moment without a lot of thought for others or even for himself.
Will he use money to try and control you?
He isn't the secretive or controlling type when it comes to money, but he also isn't very open or responsible about it. Most of the time, he may simply not bother to talk about financial matters or forget to mention important things. It's not that he hides money or wants to hold power, it's more that he just isn't paying attention.
Let's see how this guy is with sharing housework. Will he share housework or just make you do it?
He's not likely to step up and take responsibility for housework and may quietly expect you to handle most of it. He doesn't actively argue that it's only your job, but because he tends to withdraw and avoid taking charge, you'll probably end up doing more than your fair share. Don't expect him to offer help or notice when things need to be done around the house.
Will he help you or just boss you around and tell you what to do?
He's unlikely to take real responsibility for chores or childcare. Most of the time, he'll avoid getting involved unless you ask directly, and even then, he may do the bare minimum or just watch from the side. You won't see him stepping up on his own or sharing the load equally.
Now let's see about how this guy is during fights. In fights, does he try to understand your views or just win the fight?
He isn't the type to argue just to prove he's right, but he also doesn't make much effort to truly understand your side. Most often, he will listen quietly or simply nod along, but he won't really engage with your feelings or try to see things your way. Instead of open arguments, you might face silence or a lack of interest when you bring up what matters to you.
Does he become aggressive when angry?
When he's angry, he's not likely to yell or say harsh things. Instead, he tends to pull away and go silent, avoiding the situation rather than acting aggressive or disrespectful. This doesn't mean your feelings won't get brushed aside, though.
Does he have a bad temper?
He's not the kind of man who gets angry quickly. Instead, he holds his feelings inside and usually withdraws when something upsets him. You are unlikely to see sudden bursts of temper or harsh words from him.
Will he say sorry and accept his mistakes?
He usually doesn't blame you or start arguments, but he also isn't quick to say sorry or take real responsibility. Most of the time, he'll just stay quiet, avoid the topic, or act like nothing happened. With him, it can feel like issues are swept under the rug instead of being faced head on and resolved.
Next, let's talk about intimacy and physical chemistry. During intimacy, does he respect your boundaries? Does he get that no means no?
He's not the type to push hard or cross your boundaries on purpose. If you say no, he's likely to back off quietly without arguing or insisting. You probably won't face pressure from him, but clear and honest communication is very important.
If you are not in the mood for intimacy, will he react badly?
He's not likely to take it personally if you're not in the mood for intimacy. He doesn't get easily hurt or offended by things like this, and he probably won't make a big scene or become distant just because you say no. Instead, he's more likely to simply accept it and move on without much fuss.
Can you trust him not to shame you or share your private moments, maybe love letters, photos, or videos, even after a breakup or a bad fight?
Yes, you can trust him to keep private moments private. He isn't the type to use personal things against you or embarrass you later. You're unlikely to hear him bring up private matters in a fight or gossip about you to others.
Is he loyal or is he likely to want to have affairs?
He's not the type to chase after other women or actively look for attention outside the relationship. Most of the time, he prefers to stay in his own world and isn't very driven by romantic excitement or drama. He's more likely to be distant or withdrawn than distracted by someone else.
Will he be jealous, suspicious, and try to control you?
No, he isn't the type to be overpossessive or act jealous and controlling. He usually keeps to himself and doesn't get caught up in suspicion or drama about what you're doing. If anything, he might seem a bit too relaxed or distant instead of being possessive.
This guy says he is protective in a good way. Is he actually just being possessive?
No, he's not someone whose protective side hides a controlling personality. He doesn't have a strong urge to watch over or direct what you do. If anything, you may sometimes wish he was more involved or cared more about your safety and comfort.
Now, onto the topic of kids and how this guy will be as a father. If you guys have kids, will he make you do most of the work?
He's likely to expect you to do most of the work when it comes to parenting. He doesn't step up on his own or take initiative, so many daily tasks and emotional needs of the children will end up falling on your shoulders. He isn't likely to argue about roles, but he also won't really pitch in unless you ask very directly.
Kids are very messy. Will he lose his temper with them?
He's generally calm when the kids mess up or get upset. He doesn't have a quick temper, so you're unlikely to see him shouting or getting harsh with them. So you may end up doing most of the emotional work for the family with him staying in the background.
If you guys have kids, will he still support your career?
He's not likely to stand in your way or compete with you, and he won't criticize your choices as a mother or as an individual. However, he also won't go out of his way to actively support or encourage you in either role. He tends to keep to himself and isn't very emotionally involved, so you may end up feeling like you're handling everything alone and not getting much praise or help.
Will this man say one thing early on, maybe while dating, and then later, after kids and marriage, change his tune and try to make you give up your career?
No, he's not likely to play tricks or make promises about your career only to change his mind later. He usually isn't very involved in your choices, whether it's your career or family matters, and doesn't push for you to quit work after having a child. Instead, he may just step back and let you decide for yourself without much help or guidance.
Next, let's see how this guy treats your parents. Will he be respectful with your parents?
He's not likely to show real warmth toward your parents. Most of the time, he'll keep things polite but distant, doing just enough to avoid any trouble or awkwardness. He'll be civil and avoid arguments, but won't make much effort to connect emotionally or become part of the family. He's not the type to expect your family to change for him, but he also won't put in much effort to adjust to them.
What if your family creates stress or interferes a bit in your lives?
If your family creates stress or interferes, he will handle it calmly and won't make things worse by arguing or causing drama. He's the type to quietly step back rather than get into fights or push problems further. You won't see him raising his voice or adding fuel to the fire. He'd rather avoid conflict altogether.
Then let's analyze the role this guy's family will play in your life. Is this man modern with you, but a completely different person when other people, say his parents or bosses, are around?
No, he's not the kind of man who will act modern with you in private and then suddenly expect you to be a traditional, supportive wife in front of his relatives. He generally avoids getting deeply involved in such matters or laying down strict expectations, whether at home or with family. Instead, he'll probably keep quiet and let you decide how to present yourself.
If there is tension between you and his parents, will he support you?
If there's tension, he will most likely stay out of it rather than support you or side with his family. He doesn't like getting caught up in conflicts, so he tends to keep his distance and avoid taking any stand. This means you may have to handle tense family moments on your own without his help or comfort.
Say you have a conflict with his mother. What will this guy do?
He isn't really a mummy's boy who runs every decision by his mother or always takes her side. However, he's also not the type to stand up for you or take your side openly if there's a conflict. Instead, he will likely stay silent and avoid getting involved, hoping the problem goes away on its own.
Will he share all the private details of your relationship with his mother or sister?
He's not likely to share every detail of your fights or private life with his mother or sister. He usually keeps things to himself and avoids discussing personal matters, even with family. This means your privacy is mostly safe, but it also means he won't seek advice or support from his side.
Now let's zoom out and put it all together.
So that's the story. This guy scores a C. In many important ways, this guy is falling short of the standard we would want. Day in and day out, Being in a relationship with him often feels like you're walking the path mostly by yourself. He isn't demanding or harsh, but he drifts through life, rarely stepping up to share responsibility or provide real emotional support.